This is Gary Atencia with CNTV, and once again, we're in Florida. I am here with Randall Insurance Solutions. Since 2021, with over 50 top-rated insurance carriers, they tailor the right coverages at the best value. I'm joined with Gregory, who is the President, Executive Insurance Consultant, and Strategist. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
My pleasure.
Hey, you bet. Let me start off a little bit about yourself. I mean, you have experience in sales since the mid-90s. You have led the sales and growth for multi-million-dollar accounts. With kind of a shifting to the insurance sector in 2016, you found a passion really for helping people protect themselves. Share with me a little bit how this shift got started for you.
Well, so actually, I've been in insurance my entire career and have been responsible for many significant events in insurance. I was one of the early evangelists for credit-based insurance scoring. I was involved in developing fraud solutions to underwrite for fraud at point of sale, working with companies like Nationwide and all the top carriers, mid-tier carriers, selling data analytics and technology. In 2017, I left corporate America because corporate America can be really, really challenging. And I decided what I wanted to do in the next chapter of my career, and Farmers Insurance was entering the Florida market. So we actually opened up a scratch agency, and we're the #1 farmers agency. We had the most cross-sold book. We had the highest retention rate, and actually just sold it about end of March last year. So I've been in insurance my whole career, and I really know all ends of it, from how the products are made, how insurance companies address everything through the life cycle of insurance, and then also had the opportunity, which was sort of the cherry on top, to be on the retail side, because the agents, as part of that, ecosystem of insurance, are really the lifeblood for insurance carriers.
That is interesting. I mean, like you say, basically your entire career, you've seen all angles of the industry, if you will. I mean, since 2020, a common message in the news really is uncertainty. Would you say more than ever, society yearns for some peace of mind, and maybe they're more willing to take a proactive approach for that peace of mind?
Well, absolutely. And, our agency is based here in Florida. The bulk of our business is here in Florida. But what I'm doing is I've come in not to run the agency, but to build the business for our parent company. And we will be expanding lines of business, rebalancing between personal lines and commercial lines, also adding partnerships that allow us to provide group benefits, payroll services, to really be that one-stop shopping. And then also be more than just a Florida agency. We'll be across multiple states. And throughout my career, and certainly since I've been on the retail side of insurance, I've always felt that customers may say they're price buyers, but when you really drill down, they're value buyers. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And the way that we managed our agency when we owned it, and the way that I'm running this business, is it's really about educating customers. We explain to them what's going on in the market, and people don't like insurance because they don't understand it, and it's got a really bad rap. But when we explain it to them and educate them, that's what really gives them the peace of mind.
Definitely an education that is important for consumers out there. I mean, although we cannot always control what happens in our life, we can control how we are prepared for events that are out of our control. I mean, is being properly insured in all the areas of our life really help us all sleep at night?
Well, absolutely. And one of the things that I haven't been afraid to do, and I make sure my teams are not afraid to do, is we tell our customers what they need to know, and it may not always be what they want to hear. I can't tell you how many intelligent, affluent people are literally one accident away from losing everything they've worked so hard for, not being able to leave a legacy for their family and their children, but also really being in a very difficult situation. Florida is a very litigious state. When you drive down any highway, I-4, I-75, and every other billboard is an attorney saying, I got my client $900,000, I got him $4 million. Well, if those attorneys are paying $10,000 a month for one billboard, and they've got dozens of them, where do you think that's coming from? And people say, why are my premiums going up? Because you're paying that attorney. But also, what that really is indicative of is that you are at risk of being sued by one of these attorneys. And if you're at fault in an accident and you're not properly protected, you can literally lose everything you have. And I talk to these very successful people and say, you're not going to spend $300 or $500 for an umbrella policy to give you the extra protection. You're not going to have the proper coverage on your home or your auto. I said, you're not saving money. You're being a price buyer and missing out on the value.
You're saving a penny and losing many, many dollars, if not your entire life. I mean, although we may all know what insurance is, only with the guidance of a professional can we make sure we are not just insured, but really properly insured. Is every client unique and really require kind of a custom plan based on their needs?
Absolutely. And, again, it goes back to education. One of the things I tell our customers is you're fully insured. And they look at you like, what do you mean? And I go, well, you're either self-insured, like your deductible, you're self-insured, that's what you pay first. And the rest you're transferring to the insurance carrier. But you may also be self-insured in different ways. If you don't have enough protection, then instead of being self-insured on the bottom side, you're self-insured on the top side. I always like to say it's one thing to have $1,000 bad day. It's another thing to have a $500,000 bad day. So I would rather see someone have a higher deductible, or I'd rather see someone give up some coverage that they can afford, like rental reimbursement, or maybe having replacement costs on the contents of their home, than not to be properly protected from liability and exposure and on the top side. So it's really about educating people and understanding what their risk tolerance is so that there's no surprises. When someone's upset with their insurance carrier, especially a reputable one, the conversation goes like this: I thought I was covered and I'm not. And that's when it's too late. So our responsibility, again, is to make sure that they're properly protected, not just trying to find them the cheapest carrier.
That is interesting. I mean, nobody likes surprises, obviously. I mean, as consumers, not only do we need to educate ourselves on insurance, but also really on the different types of insurance agencies and agents. I mean, can you explain the direct insurance company with a proprietary product versus an 100% independent agency such as yourself?
Yeah, so it's interesting because many of the captive companies in Allstate or Farmers or Liberty Mutual, they've actually gone to a hybrid model because where they've not comfortable writing risk either in certain lines or certain geographies, they've had to allow their agents to broker. So, but they for the most part want you to present their products and their products only. You can only sell Liberty Auto. You can only sell Farmers Auto or whatever. In a state like Florida where they don't write coastal properties or there are many exclusions, they'll allow you to broker it with some of the other carriers. As a true independent agent, we have access to many more markets and we're not beholden to anyone. But interestingly enough, in the Florida market, I actually partner with some of the captives because they have some niches that we can't fill. And my view is I would much rather help the customer, whether it's with us or I have to partner with someone like a Farmers or a State Farm and get them taken care of, because the markets always shift. Right now, the market's very difficult, but it will open up again. It will change. The lawmakers will finally get it together. And those customers are with me. They're not with a particular company like State Farm or Farmers or a particular agency. They're with our agency because we've done what was in their best interest. And that's also what differentiates our agency, not just from a captive carrier, but from agencies in general.
So really what is best for the client in their best needs. I mean, so in order to find a custom plan that fits the needs for the client, I mean, you truly have more options to offer than being limited to a provider that may not be the best fit. Does this make your role more effective and many times easier to find that fit?
Absolutely. I mean, especially in a difficult market, options are critical because sometimes you have very few options, even though you may have 50 carriers, right? You still may only have one or two that will write certain risk, or you may even have to go into, the surplus, excess and surplus lines markets because no one in an admitted carrier wants to take that risk. So you just have to have all of those options and be able to customize and provide what's in the best interest of your client.
I mean, I definitely understand having access to multiple companies and products, but is it easy to switch from company to company without it really being a big hassle for the end user?
Well, we don't promote switching. We don't believe that one of the value of being an independent agent is that you can shop their policy every year. What we call those people are hoppers, and what we explain to them is you want to have a relationship with your insurance carrier just as much as you do with your insurance agency. We give them a very good example that resonates with them. We say, how you've got your favorite restaurant where it's your local restaurant, they know who you are. When you go in, they give you an appetizer, a glass of wine. If there's no tables, they find one for you. Well, it's the same thing with your insurance carrier. When you have a relationship with them and you've been with them and you have a claim, they're going to be more amenable to take care of you first. They may even move you up if there are multiple claims and service you first. But also because they have a relationship, they don't have to scrutinize it for fraud as much. When 20 to 30 or 40 cents of every premium dollar is going to fraud, every carrier has to scrutinize policies for fraud. And the consumer feels like the carrier's trying to get out of paying their obligation, but they just have to really protect themselves and their customers from all the fraudulent behavior. But if you have that relationship and they know you, they can sort of say, hey, I know Ken, I know Greg, I don't have to be as thorough because we have a relationship. I know this is not fraudulent. So we really emphasize to our customers that sticking with a carrier, even if it's a little bit more money, you can't be switching because it's $200 or $500 more. And one of the things we ask our customers is, what's your time worth? Because when you're with a carrier that's going to take care of you and pay your claims and pay them appropriately, versus having to haggle with an insurance company and spend tens of hours, how much did you really save? So that goes back from that price buyer to that value buyer, and why we are very different as an agency and why we promote and educate our customers and prospective customers very differently.
So like in any industry out there, the relationship is really where the value comes into play. I mean, so when you're not captive to just one proprietary product, you're truly able to give unbiased, objective advice. Does your team enjoy getting to know their clients and really answering the questions as their needs may change?
Absolutely. In fact, we do a portfolio review at least on an annual basis or whenever there's a life change, because you really have to understand what's going on and what their needs are. And the other thing that we do that's very differently is many agencies sell policies. We look at a customer's entire portfolio, even if we don't have that business. If they're a snowbird and they've got their home and autos and toys in Illinois, and they've got their other home in Florida with cars and toys, and they might have life insurance or commercial insurance, we provide them tools to be able to have their entire portfolio in a single location so that we know what's going on and nothing falls through the cracks, even if we're not the agent. Now, we hope to be the agent for everything, especially as we expand into other lines and other states, but it's a service we provide our customers, And it's invaluable to them because I can't tell you how many people end up spending more on insurance because a bill was missed and there's a lapse in a policy, or they added a property or a vehicle and it wasn't added to the umbrella. There's so many things that can go wrong when you have all of these policies, with different states with different agents, and it's a really big risk. And that's one of the things that we really focus on is we are their trusted advisor for their insurance portfolio, not their agent for their insurance policy.
That is interesting. I mean, speaking of portfolios, before we let you go, let's touch on a few of these protections that you're able to help consumers out there with. Life insurance. Is this still really one of the top sleep well at night solutions? I mean, not only for yourself, but for your family. What are some of the life insurance types that you offer?
Well, we offer all types of life insurance, but one of the things I tell to everyone who will listen to me, parents and grandparents, the first thing you should do to give a gift for your child or your grandchild is buy them a whole life policy, because they'll never be younger than they are, and they'll in most cases never be healthier than they are. And what most people don't realize is that you could have something that happens in your life. You could have childhood diabetes, or you could get cancer or whatever, even later in life, and not be eligible. So and also the premium at today's dollars that you might be paying for 20 or 30 years is going to be nothing. If you think about, what was $100 today versus what it is 30 years ago. And then the other thing, many people don't realize this, is if you're in the corporate world and you have group life insurance, it's only good until you leave or they let you go. But one thing that most people don't understand is if you did have an illness, you've been with the company for 30 years, and all of a sudden you're on short-term or long-term disability, well, you are no longer an employee of your company. You're an employee or paid by that short or long-term care policy, and your group life policy goes away. So if you got cancer and you thought you had all this protection for your family in a group life insurance policy, you could wake up not having anything. So you have to own your own life insurance policy. It's more important than ever, especially having seen what happened with COVID. If people don't understand that now, they never will. But we, as professionals, have to educate them. Again, tell them this story, because even people in the industry don't always realize that there's this risk. You've been with the company for 30 years, which is unheard of today, right? You don't spend your career with one company anymore. But those of the people who have a false sense of security.
That is interesting. I mean, obviously all important in the event of a tragedy, but it's also important for money for retirement. Great way to defer taxes. I mean, obviously it's not just a bumper sticker, but life happens. One place that we put ourselves at risk probably every day that you mentioned is out on, let's say, I-75, out on the road. When a consumer out there thinks about auto insurance, they think of just maybe damage to their car, but actually it's much more than that. Touch on that a little bit before we let you go.
Well, absolutely. And this is where that risk happens. There's so much fraud. In Florida, and these numbers are probably understated. 1 in 4 drivers is uninsured, 1 in 3 is underinsured. Easily 20 to 30 cents of every premium dollar goes to hard or soft fraud. If you see a minivan with multiple people, the biggest fraud scheme is they stop short and you hit them. Well, if you've got assets to protect and someone perpetrates this fraud and you hit them, and now they sue you for everything that you have, it's not random anymore. So, 1 out of 4, you're driving 1 or 2 cars is uninsured or underinsured. You really need to be properly protected. I can't emphasize that enough of how important it is.
That is interesting. Let's face it, for many of us, four wheels of our single car is not the only way that we all get around. I mean, you're able to cover motorcycles, RVs, off-road, boats. I mean, even our golf cart needs protection. Can these be bundled in any way to maybe help people save in that way?
Absolutely. So, normally what happens is your toys and your autos often go together because you get the bundle. If you have an umbrella, and again, to me, if you can afford the toys, you should have the umbrella. People think that's just for the wealthy, but what people don't realize is if you're making over a certain amount and someone sues you because you were at fault in an accident, they can garnish your wages and take 25%. So you don't have to be wealthy to be significantly financially disadvantaged by a lawsuit. So, today, someone who might think they're, middle class or, above middle class, many of those people really need to have a umbrella policy if they're making high five or even low six figures in income, because you take 25% of that out as a garnishment, that's going to affect your life.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been great information for consumers out there. Today we focused on mostly the personal insurance coverage that everyone needs, but for many of us like myself, be it a business owner, there are insurance must-haves. Are you able to help with the commercial end as well?
Absolutely. In fact, we joined Renaissance Alliance, which is a group of about 300 well-established agencies that generate about $3.6 billion in premium. And the reason that we joined the alliance is really for their access to the commercial markets and their commercial expertise. But also our parent company, Randall Construction, has many relationships where we're going to be able to provide commercial insurance for subcontractors and other people that we know in the business. So we are rebalancing our book of business to be at least 50% commercial and 50% personal lines.
Let me ask you this. You've spent many years leading the growth for multi-million-dollar companies out there. Your entire career, you have been involved when it comes to insurance. You're now able to help individuals and small businesses fully protect themselves. Really a chapter that you changed 2016, 2017. Do you find this to be just as rewarding?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, sometimes it's even more rewarding because, when you're in a large organization, you're not changing someone's life in front of you. And, when you're dealing with a small business owner or, just a consumer and they tell you, no one's ever explained insurance to me this way. Thank you, I didn't realize I was exposed. Or you just really help them to make the best choices. You get that immediate, feedback and, that feeling that you've really helped someone that you can attribute it to. And it's very rewarding.
One life at a time. Obviously, in your education, people hear things they don't want to hear, but you know what? It's for our better. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. On the website, learn more about this organization, be it personal insurance or commercial. You're going to see many products they have right for you there as well. For existing clients, you have access to your documents, your claims. Everything is really just a click away. I mean, if you're ready to save time, aggravation, and money, start a quote right there on the website. Contact them. They'll basically educate you where you're at, maybe where you need more help, and obviously put it all in one place so that you're not spread out everywhere, you're missing payments, and you've got one professional who really is a friend in your corner who understands your situation. Once again, that is Randall Insurance Solutions in Florida. With over 50 top-rated insurance carriers, they tailor the right coverage at the best value. Insurance the right way. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.